Well, I know I kept you waiting a while for this one, but at long last, it is finally time to reveal the results of our Bleach Character Popularity Contest. The contest was originally initiated as part of the celebrations for the channel hitting 100,000 subscribers, and now as we inch ever closer to 120,000 subscribers, we can finally reveal the results of this poll. And honestly, this just grew and ballooned into a much bigger undertaking than I had ever imagined. And I don't say that as a bad thing. First of all, I had an amazing time seeing everyone's votes, counting up all the character votes and compiling them, and seeing who eventually came out on top. But more than anything, as the scope and scale of this poll just grew and grew during the voting process and the counting process, it really solidified and reinforced the idea that Bleach's cast of characters is easily one of the richest, most diverse, most eclectic I've ever seen in fiction. And in fact, a massive 176 individual characters were voted for. They received at least one vote and made it onto the poll, which was honestly amazing to see. There is such a diversity of characters here. It's truly wonderful. And another awesome stat about this poll for you guys is that the total number of individual character votes came to a colossal 13,734 from approximately nearly 3,000 individual entrants. And I just can't thank you guys enough for really embracing this poll. And it's just been so much fun, and I'm just so thrilled to see how it turned out. As I mentioned on the initial video for this poll back in December, I think it was, I've always loved running these. I love getting an idea of who's trending within the community as, the most popular Bleach characters. But the last time I did one, which was, back when the Manga was running, my kind of following was really only limited to my DeviantArt account, and I think we maybe maxed out about 50 votes. So this was definitely a, slight jump from that, but I couldn't be happier. So back in December, I asked everyone to give me their top 5 favourite Bleach characters, and those characters could be pulled from any part of the Bleach franchise, any medium. And as a result of that, this list I have covers an amazing spectrum, from canon manga characters to anime-only characters to video game characters to, light novel characters. The whole gamut is here, and that makes it so exciting to me. But without further ado, we may as well begin this thing. I really hope your favourite character has done as well as you would have liked. Maybe they've surprised you in both good or bad ways. So with this video, I want to go through all of the placements. Obviously, we'll kind of go through some of the lower placements a bit quicker as there are more characters per place as we reach the top. But I wanted to kind of, give a bit of spotlight to everyone that people has voted for. But there will be timestamps in this video. If, for example, you just want to skip to the top 10, you can do that. But we're going to be starting here with place number 68. Characters who came in 68th place are at the bottom of this list, having received only one vote each. So, let's begin. So the characters who are in 68th place with only one vote each are as follows: Ichika Abarai, Morechio Omaida, Yu Yayahara, Jidanbo Ikanzaka, Jirobo Ikanzaka, Rikichi, Yushido Shihoin, Yuki Ryunosuke, Kenpachi Kuruyashiki, Enryu, Oko Yushima, Kagoroza Inaba, Hanza Nukui, Rurichio, Kokuto, Bansui, Seigen Suzunami, the duo of Matsuri and Fujimaru, Katen and Kyokotsu, Hyorin Maru, Kazushini, Tenken, Wonderweiss Margella, Tsuruchi Sandoichi, Nidonet Gingerbach, D-Roy, Icelinger, Kukapuro, Geo Vega, Ion, the cloning Aranka, the Black Hollow known as White, Ciel, Roka Paramia, Kangdu, BG9, Meninas Macallon, Berenice Gabrielli, Shaz Domino, Gwenael Lee, Giriko Kutsuzawa, Sora Inoue, Gitano, Kurodo, the Seaweed Ambassador, Seijin's grandfather, Mimihagi, and the merged form of White and Zangetsu. So as you can see, there's an enormous range of characters here in the 68th spot, which was always going to be the craziest place, just an absolute melting pot of Bleach characters. I'm very happy to see characters like Kangdu and BG9 get some recognition here. I'll never forgive Kubo entirely for screwing over their characters, but I still really like those guys, so I'm very happy to see that. It's nice to see Renji and Rukia's daughter, Ichika, making the list as well as another character who was introduced right at the end of the series, in fact this time in the Hell chapter, being Yu Yu Yayahara. We have a bunch of light novel characters here, including Kuruyashiki, CL, and Roka, so that's really nice to see as well, including as well some slightly more random picks like Gitano and the cloning Aranka, but to each their own. And of course, there's a large number of filler and game characters here as well, which is just so cool to see. In 67th place, each of these characters received only 2 votes, and we have the Soul King, Kurumadani Zenosuke, Seinosuke Yamada, Maki Ichinose, Hinako, Senbon Zakura, Uro Zakuro, Tensa Zangetsu, Zomari Luru, Dordoni Alessandro del Soccaccio, Pesce Gautiche, Milo Rose, Sun, Lupi Antenor, Grand Fisher, Hikone Ubuginyu, Ikumi Unagia, and Ururu Sumagia. So it's kind of hilarious to think that the Soul King himself has received the same number of votes as Kurumadani Zenosuke, but that's how they go at the bottom of the list. So again, I think it's another really cool eclectic group of characters. In 66th place with 3 votes each, we have Aikawa Love, Tessai Tsukubishi, Yami Largo, Aroniero Ararueri, Rudborn Shaylut, Lowly Ivern, Dondachaka Birstin, Yukio Hans Vorelburner, Mizuiro Kojima, Gokoga, and Jin Carrier. So with 3 votes each now, we're starting to see some bigger name characters like some members of the Espada, a couple of Vizard as well, and things are already starting to get a little more interesting. In 65th place with 4 votes each, we have Kazui Kurosaki, Atao Rindo, Muramasa, Masaki Kurosaki, Ryuken Ishida, Apache Emilu, Findor Clarius, Arturo Plateado, Jackie Tristan, and Keigo Asano. Once again, another Hell Chapter character in there with Atao, who I'm very happy to see getting some love, as he was easily the standout new character for me in that Hell Chapter, but also Kazui making his debut on the list here as well, which is great to see. Special shout out to the character of Arturo Plateado. Him making it on the list with 4 votes is honestly really cool. As someone who played Shattered Blade way back in the day, that's really nice to see. In 64th place with a total of 5 votes each, we have Ganju Shiba, Akon, Chojiro Sasakibe, Hanataro Yamada, Kurinji Tenjiro, and Ora Michibane. Once again, I'm very pumped to see Akon making the list with a total of 5 votes. That's really cool to see. And I have an inkling that if Kubo decides to do more of these Hell chapters, then perhaps Akon will go up a few more places now that he's a new vice captain. Of course, we also have our first member of the Zero Division making their debut here, Kurinji Tenjiro, admittedly fairly low down on the list, but also the Fullbringer Aura is here as well from Can't Fear Your Own World. Coming in at 63rd with a total of 6 votes each, we have Tetsuzaimon Iba, Shunsuke Amagai, Candice Catnip, and Pernida Pankajaz. I wonder if Iba is maybe getting a couple of additional votes thanks to his recent promotion to the captaincy, but it's also really cool to see the Soul King's left hand, Pernida Pankajaz, making it onto this list as well. And from this point on, we've kind of graduated from the massively packed placements. Most of the placements from here on out are either just a single character or considerably fewer groupings. Coming in at 62nd with a total of 7 votes is Ashido Kano, a filler Shinigami who was left behind in the forest of Menno Spyrukia. Really cool to see him on here. He's a really intriguing character, and I know people want a video on him at some point in the future. Sharing the 61st spot with a total of 8 votes each is the deceased Kaien Shiba, his sister Kukaku Shiba, and Ichigo's sister Karin Kurosaki. It's really cool to see the Shibas getting their dues here, but of course there is one member left of the Shiba family who hasn't yet come up. In 60th position with a total of 9 votes each, almost reaching double digits, we have Kenpachi Azashiro, Hachigen Ushoda, and Gerard Valkyrie. As you can see, we've still got such an awesome mix of characters as we move on up through these ranks. Azashiro being a character from the light novel Spirits Are Forever With You, which is really cool to see, and of course Gerard being a member of the Schutzstaffel. In 59th place with 11 votes each, we have the current vice-captain of the 5th Division, Momo Hinomori, as well as Sternritter J. the Jail Kirge OP. I'm very happy to see OP on this list at all, and him hitting double-digit votes is just a great validation of what an awesome bad guy he was. Momo, however, I'm a little surprised. I thought she might scrape a bit higher than this, but regardless, she's in the double digits. In 58th position with 12 votes each, we have Isane Kotetsu, the current captain of the 4th Division, and Hiyori Sarugaki, a member of the Vizard. Isane, I think, is doing pretty well here, and I know there'll be someone in the comments who I think will be pretty happy about that, Isane herself. I hope you're pleased with Isane making 12 votes. And Hiyori, again, is about where I would expect her. She's not, although again, she's like the second most prominent Vizard out of all of them, so it's interesting to see her so low. With 13 votes each, in 57th place, we have another member of the Zero Division being Senjumaru Shutara, as well as Don Kanoji. Senjumaru's done decently well considering her short amount of screen time. I think her design has probably carried her here. And Don Kanoji, I think it's interesting that he managed to get as many votes as he did, but it's kind of cool to see as well. At 56 with 14 votes is Sternritter G. the Glutton Lil Toto Lamperd, who in some ways didn't do quite as well as I thought she might do, but it's still really great to see her on here. At 55th, with 15 votes, that's a lot of fives, is Mashiro Kuna, the current super vice-captain, supposedly, of the 9th Division, and another member of the Vizard, who seemingly just went totally missing in the Thousand Year Blood War arc. Supposedly, in some of the supplementary material, it explains her absence, but as far as the manga goes, she doesn't play a big role at all in the latter half of the series. Coming in at 54 with 18 votes is easily the most popular movie character on here, I think anyway, and that is of course Senna from Memories of Nobody. She did really well. I kind of expected this. Senna's always been a fan favourite since the first Bleach movie released, and it's really great to see her almost hitting 20 votes. Sharing the 53rd spot with 19 votes, we have Nanao Issei, Yachiru Kusajishi, Nemu Kurotsuchi, and Rojuro Rose Otoribashi. I'm really happy to see Rose on here, almost making 20 votes. He's a personal favourite of mine, and although he didn't get my vote, he would have been fairly close. Maybe in the top 10, maybe just slightly missing the top 10, but regardless, I'm very happy to see him on here. Characters like Nanao, Nemu, Yachiru, all members of the vice-captaincy. It's nice to see them doing fairly well. Nanao, I think, probably was boosted by her appearance in the Thousand Year Blood War arc. I almost expected Yachiru to maybe do a little bit better than this, but safe to say somebody else with her namesake has done a little better than her. At 52nd, with 20 votes each, we have Ichigo's childhood friend, Tatsuki Arasawa, and the leader of the Schutzstaffel himself, Sternritter X, the X-Axis, Lil Barrow. So Lil is the second most popular member of the Schutzstaffel, if you count there only being 4 of them, although I think there's technically 5 if you include Uryu as well. And that's really cool to see. And then, of course, Tatsuki. Again, this is nice that she manages to get 20 votes, despite not really having a big role in Bleach. It's really cool seeing her here. And in the 51st spot with 23 votes, we have another member of the Zero Division being Oetsu Nimaya. I kind of expected a little more from this character. Now, the Zero Division, of course, don't get to do an awful lot in the series, but I thought Nimaya was fairly popular, but then asking for him to be in a top 5 is quite a lot, so it's cool that he's here regardless. Entering our top 50 most popular characters now, and in 50th place with 24 votes, we have Lisa Yadomaru, the current captain of the 8th Division and another member of the Vizard. In 49th, with 27 votes, is none other than Kon himself, somehow nearly making 30 votes, but I do think that's kind of funny, and I like seeing him on here. At 48th position with 29 votes, we have the 3rd seat, I believe, of the 11th Division now that Ikkaku has been promoted, Yumichika Ayasagawa. And it's really cool seeing him on here as well, although again, he perhaps didn't do quite as well as I thought he would, and it's safe to say his 11th Division contemporaries are doing a little better. Sharing the 47th position then is Sternritter Z Giselle Jewel, and the Fullbringer Riruka Dokugamine, both of whom received 30 votes each. And again, it's really nice seeing them on here. Giselle doing pretty well. She's definitely one of the more popular Sternritter, I would have said. And at 30 votes, that sounds about right. And Riruka actually did a little worse than I was anticipating for this character. I thought, well, I mean, I know Execution aren't exactly the most popular faction in Bleach, but I thought she was a little more popular than that. At 46, with 33 votes, we have Can't For Your Own World's main villain, Tokinada Suna Yashiro. And this is, again, another really cool placement. Clearly, he left a bit of an impact on Can't For Your Own World readers to make it to this spot on the list. Sharing position 45 with 35 votes each, we have the current captain of the 9th Division, the Vizard, Kensei Muguruma, Sternritter E, the Explode, Bambietta Bastabine, and Old Man Zangetsu himself. Again, Bambietta's another pretty popular Sternritter, so I'm not too surprised by this, and Kensei has outclassed the vast majority of his Vizard comrades, so he'd probably be pretty happy with that. At 44th, with 37 votes, is the former King of Waco Mundo and the second Espada, Baragun Luisenbahn, who I kind of expected a little more from. He's honestly awesome, he looks cool, he has a great Resurrection, but he really does lose out in comparison to his 2 contemporaries in the top 3 Espada. At 43rd, with 40 votes, we have a character who very nearly made it onto my list, being Sternritter F, the Fear, Asnot. And again, I kind of expected a little more from this character, but I think the anime will help bolster a lot of the Sternritters, and we'll definitely do another one of these. One probably close to the end of the anime, seeing how long this took me to put together. But for now, I think the Sternritter are doing pretty well considering they're manga exclusive. In 42nd place with 43 votes, we have the 8th Espada and current Jailer of Hell, Xyloporo Granz. And again, this is another character I maybe expected a little more from, but he is kind of close to the bottom of the Espada. And I thought he was always a bit of a fan favourite, but maybe I was wrong on that. I was just used to think he was really annoying, so maybe I'm not alone in that opinion. In 41st place with 44 votes is Sternritter V, the Visionary Gremmy Thamo, a character who I think has really grabbed fans, which kind of surprises me a little bit because Gremmy's really not in the series for long at all, but his imagination powers and his pretty neat design seem to have really won fans over. And sharing the 40th spot with a total of 45 votes each is the current vice-captain of the 3rd Division, the undead Izuru Kira, and the 5th Espada, Neutra Jiruga. It's interesting that both of these characters kind of symbolise despair in their own way, and they're both sharing the 40th spot. I think that's kind of neat. Entering into our top 40 now, and at position 39 with 50 votes, is Sternritter B, the Balance, and the Grand Master of the Sternritter himself, Ugram Hashwolf, who again I maybe expected a little more from, but 50 votes is not bad, especially when you consider The last popularity poll I did, however long ago, I think 50 was like basically the entirety amount of votes in that poll, or it was kind of close to the top. So it's really nice to see it now down here at 39 with Hashwolf. Coming in at 38th with 51 votes is another character who was very close to making it onto my list, being the Fullbringer Tsukishima Shukuro. And again, I kind of am surprised to see him around this position, but then again, like I said, execution just really aren't all that popular, so it's really nice to see him getting that recognition and getting over 50 votes. And at position 37 with 55 votes and rounding off the Zero Division is, of course, the leader of the Zero Division, Ichibei Hyosabe. And it's really cool seeing him make 55 votes, his amazing battle against Yhwach clearly rubbing off on fans. And yes, this does mean that Kiryu Hikifune wasn't voted for at all. In 36th place, with 60 votes, is the former captain of the 9th Division, Kaname Tosen, turned traitor against the Soul Society. And Tosen does decently well. I think he is the lowest rated on here out of that initial set of 13 captains in Bleach, but he's still doing pretty decently. In 35th place with 63 votes is another character who I maybe expected too much from, being the current vice captain of the 10th Division, Rangiku Matsumoto. And I can't help but wonder if her, with manga readers at least, her kind of non-appearance in the Thousand Year Blood War arc meant that she didn't leave as lasting an impression in the story as she perhaps would have done had this poll been conducted, say, around the Uranka arc. Just above Matsumoto in 34th place with 64 votes is Sternritter H. The Heat Basby. And again, really nice seeing him this high up. I think he is the third most popular member of the Vandenreich on this list, so it's really cool seeing him on here because he is a great character with an awesome design. And at 33 with 66 votes, one of them being mine, the first character I voted for in this list is the leader of execution, the Fullbringer and first substitute Shinigami, Ginjo Kugo. Ginjo did about, I guess, what I was expecting from him. It's a little shame seeing him down at 33, considering he is a major villain of the series, but overall I think there's a lot of love for this character, and I think that's reflected here. In 32nd place with 72 votes, remember I mentioned earlier there was someone from the Shiba family yet to appear? Well, here he is. Isshin Kurosaki, Ichigo's father himself, manages to scrape a pretty respectable number of votes. Coming in at 31st with 87 votes is the former captain of the 13th Division, Jushiro Ukitake. And this might be another one whose appearance in the Thousand Year Blood War has kind of soured him a little bit, by no fault of his own, with manga readers. But of course, if he does play a role in the Hell arc, he could shoot right up. Entering our top 30 now, and we have Soifon, the current captain of the 2nd Division, managing 88 votes. That's not bad for Soifon. I've always kind of thought she was maybe more popular than that, but perhaps it's about right when you consider the kind of caliber of characters above her in the top 30. This feels kind of right. At number 29 with 93 votes is the 3rd Espada, Tia Harabel, and the de facto current ruler of Waco Mundo. At 28th, with 94 votes, edging in on that 100 vote count now, is Ikaku Madarame, the current vice-captain of the 11th Division. Another character I maybe expected to be a little higher on this list, but he's doing pretty well for himself. At number 27th is yet another character dear to me who was very close to making my top 5, and he has 98 votes, just missing out on that 100, is the former captain of the 7th Division, Seijin Komamura. And I was really pulling for Komamura, and he's done pretty well as far as I'm concerned. And at number 26, we have a bit of a jump between this position and the last one, with this one having 108 votes, and that is the Quincy King himself, the final villain of Bleach, Yhwach. And I was really unsure about where Yhwach might place on this list, because he was quite popular when he was first kind of introduced in the story, and then I think that popularity did kind of wane as the arc went on. But for him to get over 100 votes, I think is really nice for the big bad of Bleach. Coming into the top 25 now, and at 25th we have Orihime Inoue with 113 votes, the first member of Ichigo's close-knit friend group. And I'm not too surprised that she is the lowest ranked of them all, but for her to get the 25th spot, I think is pretty nice. At 24th with 119 votes is Ichigo's inner hollow / Zanpakuto spirit, White. And he did really, really well. 119 is a pretty great number of votes for him to get. Considering he doesn't play a massive role in the series, White is one of those characters who has always left an impression. Coming in at 23rd with 124 votes is another character I voted for, and that's Sternritter D, the death-dealing Askin Naklovar. Askin's done really well. I anticipated this. I thought he would do pretty well. He's the highest voted member of the Vandenreich, the highest voted Sternritter, and another interesting fact, he is the highest voted character to have been introduced in Bleach after the Aizen time skip. So the second half of the series, essentially. So he's done really well. In 22nd place, with 143 votes, the gaps will start getting bigger now, is another member of Ichigo's close friends, Sado Chad Yasutora. And honestly, I think Chad, being the massive underdog that he is, has done incredibly well here, potentially better, I think, than people will have expected. At 21st place with 152 votes is the highest voted Quincy in this series, of course, Uryu Ishida, another of Ichigo's very close friends. It's really cool to see him doing as well as he did, just missing out on that top 20 spot. Speaking of the top 20 though, that's what we are looking at now, with Renji Abarai in the 20th position at 168 votes. Really a character I thought would do better than this. I thought, top 15, maybe even top 10. Top 10's kind of pushing it when you see who's in there. But Renji at 20, I think, is alright for, again, another character who's a bit of an underdog. Coming in at 19 with 172 votes is the highest rated member of the current vice captains, being, of course, the vice captain of the 9th Division, Hisagi Shuhei, who did pretty much about as well as I was expecting, bolstered, of course, by his appearance as the main character in Can't Fear Your Own World. At 18th place with 182 votes, we have the former 3rd Espada Neliel to Odelschwank, or Nell for short, and again, she's done really well here. In 17th place with 208 votes is a character who actually did better than I was anticipating, being the former captain of the 4th Division, Yachiru, or Retsu Unohana. And I think can be no denying that Unohana's placement here is based heavily on her appearance in the 1,000-Year Blood War arc. I imagine that bolstered her greatly, that additional lore about her, but that's why things like that story twist are so good, because this character was really brought to life because of it. At 16th place with 238 votes is another character who has done a little better than I was anticipating, and that was the former captain of the 1st Division and, of course, captain commander of the Gotei 13 himself, Shigakuni Genryusai Yamamoto. And I don't know why, I just thought Yamamoto was never really that popular. I kind of expected to see him floating around Soifon's level on here, but he's done really, really well, just missing out on that top 15 spot. And here we go with the top 15 on our list. We have, coming in at 15th place with 298 votes, almost hitting 300, being the current captain of the 10th Division, Toshiro Hitsugaya. Again, somebody I expected much better from than this. This was a character I really anticipated being in the top 10, but I honestly think that could show essentially the disparity between the Japanese fan base and kind of the rest of the world, perhaps. Or it could just be that Toshiro is just not as popular as he was back in the Iranka arc. Either way, he's done very well. Coming in at 14th with 312 votes is a character who really I nearly voted for. I've always really liked this guy. I've always known he was popular. I didn't quite anticipate him being top 15 popular, and that's the 1st Espada, Coyote Stark, who has just done really, really well. He kept getting votes over almost every other Espada, but I was like, this is awesome. He's very clearly cemented himself as the 3rd most popular Espada. And in 13th place, with a massive 345 votes, is the current captain of the 12th division, the diabolical Mayuri Kurotsuchi, another character I was really tempted to vote for, and I'm so pleased that he's done as well as he has. In 12th position, with 412 votes, is the leader of the Vizards, the current captain of the 5th division, Shinji Hirako, which just goes to show that events and feats don't really mean as much as you might think they do, because Shinji kind of exists in the Thousand Year Blood War arc without really doing anything at all, but he has remained eternally popular since his first appearance in the Urankar arc, and it's just so funny seeing him so far ahead of literally every other Vizard. The next Vizard beneath him is Kensei with 35 votes, so Shinji is by far and away the most popular member of that crew. And we are really into it now, just missing out on that coveted place in the top 10. At number 11, with a huge 457 votes, is the former captain of the 3rd division, Gin Ichimaru. Gin, again, is another character I was kind of conflicted over. Do I vote for him? But I think what kind of maybe hurt Gin a little bit, what maybe kept him out of the top 10, was his obviously incredibly reduced relevance after the Urankar arc. Not really his fault, he does die, but for him to not appear in the second half of the story at all, I think maybe, and he doesn't really do a lot in the Urankar arc either, is maybe why he is where he is, but this is obviously a very great score nonetheless. And we are finally here with the top 10 characters on this list. This is of course where the bulk of votes went, and I think the list is really interesting. When you look at it from a top-down perspective, it's maybe kind of made up of who you were expecting, but the actual results I think are quite interesting. So let's kick it off with number 10. The 10th most popular character in Bleach according to this poll, with 462 votes, is the current captain of the 13th division, Rukia Kuchiki, who was seemingly the deuteragonist of Bleach for a very long time before slightly falling out of prominence after the sort of second half of the series, but Rukia has remained an eternally popular character, beloved by the fan base, and I echo that sentiment. Rukia is probably my favourite female character in the series. I think she's just handled so incredibly well, and her arc of development is wonderful. Coming in at 9th on our list with 495 votes, just missing out that 500 vote count, is the former captain of the 2nd division, Shihoin Yoruichi. And again, this is not a character I am surprised to see here. I know she's obviously massively popular, and I think that's been echoed here big time. In 8th position with 553 votes, we are really going to start seeing some jumps between those vote counts now, is the current captain of the 6th division, Byakuya Kuchiki. And Byakuya is a really tough one, because it's hard to say, like, he's not done as well as I was expecting at 8th place overall, but he's not necessarily done as well as I was expecting. It's really hard to say with a character like this, and he was another one who I was very close to voting for. In 7th place, with 623 votes, is the 6th Espada himself, Gurimajo, who I'm, again, so unsurprised to see up here, but he's easily one of the most popular villains in the entire series, completely synonymous with Bleach. However, just pipping him to the post, which he would be very unhappy about, in 6th place with 677 votes, is the 4th Espada, Ulquiorra. Again, easily one of the most iconic and memorable villains in all of Bleach, another character that I gave one of my votes to. Maybe a bit of a cliche pick, but I think there's nothing wrong with that. Ulquiorra is and has always been immensely popular, and there's good reason for it. He has an amazing design, and I think his role in the story is incredibly impactful. And so here we are, the top 5 most popular characters in Bleach. An enormous number of votes went to pretty much each of these characters, and I think they all absolutely deserve to be here. And I will say that particularly where the top 3 are concerned, it was a very close race throughout, but we'll get more into that a bit later on. Coming in at 5th position, with a whopping 831 votes, is the current captain of the 11th Division, Kenpachi Zaraki. The battle-loving monster himself with a heart of gold. I obviously expected him to be up here. Kind of thought he could have even cracked the top 3, to be honest, but he and his fans should be incredibly happy with this result. Speaking of being incredibly happy with the result, however, this next character is somebody that I personally voted for in 4th place with 961 votes. Is a character I expected to do well. I expected to do pretty well, but maybe not quite this well. And that's the current captain of the 1st Division, the current captain commander, Kyoraku Shunsui, who I couldn't be happier to see as high as he is. The fan base has clearly absolutely fallen in love with this guy, and I'm guessing that's in big part thanks to his role in the 1,000-Year Blood War, where he does have just an amazing presence in the story, and it's just so great to see him as high as he is. And now as we get to the top 3 characters in the series, you can probably guess who they are. You probably know who they are by this point. They are, of course, all immensely popular, all completely synonymously tied with Bleach, and all probably deserved the top spot. In 3rd place, with an incredible 1,109 votes, is the main character of Bleach himself, Ichigo Kurosaki. You know, so many of you voted for Ichigo. I'm absolutely not surprised by this. Kind of assumed he would be top 5, if not even higher than he is. But Ichigo has done incredibly well. And there's so many reasons for that. He's an absolutely great protagonist. I think I had him on my top 10 favourite characters list video, because he's very down to earth in many ways. He's quite human in the sense that he's not always incredibly happy-go-lucky. He goes through real emotional bouts of stress and depression that make him very relatable as a human protagonist, but at the same time, he's totally badass with a great power set and awesome-looking iconic abilities. So Ichigo more than deserves his spot in the top 3. And so, positions 1 and 2, 1st and 2nd, you know who they are, and in many ways it's very fitting that it's these two who are duking it out for the number 1 spot. The two intellectual powerhouses of Bleach, the chess masters of Bleach, who control so much from behind the shadows, the number 1 villain Aizen Sosuke and his counterpart, the equally devious but perhaps even more intelligent Kisuke Urahara. You know, when I was doing this, when I was counting the votes, these two were basically always in the running to win it. And I was a little bit surprised by that in some sense, but they were nearly always incredibly far ahead. But it was always a close race between them. And in fact, less than 10 votes separate them even now. And it's so fitting that they were the ones duking it out right at the very end. But, you know, we got to the point where so many people were voting for them. They were coming up in almost every, or at least 1 in every 2 set of votes. And so now, without further ado, in 2nd place, with an incredible 1,231 votes, and receiving my 5th and final vote in the poll, is the most famous villain of all time in Bleach, Sosuke Aizen. One of the most incredible characters in the series, no doubt. I had no reservations about voting for him, and also I expected him to crack the top 5, if not the top 3. Immensely popular, incredibly quotable, totally memorable. Aizen is just the devious schemer of Bleach who has put so much of this series into motion, and he more than deserves to be here in 2nd place. But very fittingly for Aizen, he can't quite trounce his most hated rival. And so, in 1st place, the winner of our Bleach character popularity contest that we ran for 100,000 subscribers with an enormous, unparalleled 1,240 votes, is of course the former captain of the 12th Division himself, and now just a humble small-time candy shop owner, Kisuke Urahara. Again, a character I was very close to voting for him. He was in my top 10 characters video, And I was so close, but in the end I was like, I just want to give it to one or the other. So I gave my vote to Aizen, but Kisuke didn't need it, as he comes out on top, as Urahara generally does. You know, he bests Aizen in their battle of wits and thinking so many steps ahead in the actual story, and here he has won it as well. He's perhaps operating even more from the shadows than Aizen is, and he's always so many steps ahead. The smartest character in the series, his overall look, his design, his green and white striped hat is completely iconic, synonymous again with Bleach, and Benihime is just one of the coolest Zanpakuto in the series. Seeing his long-awaited Bankai in the Thousand Year Blood War was just so great. And although I didn't vote for him, I am more than happy with this result, with Kisuke winning the poll. I think it's totally deserved. And I'm not kidding you. When I was doing the vote counting, it got to a point where Kisuke was coming up in every single set of votes. Obviously, he didn't end up in every single one, because we got over 13,000. But it got to a stage where he was just in every set of votes, every 2 set of votes, Kisuke was showing up, and eventually it became clear it was going to come down to him or Aizen, and Kisuke managed to take it. And that's it for our frankly massive character popularity poll. It's kind of blown my mind, and getting to say all this out loud after having internalized it for so long, gone through a ridiculously phenomenal spreadsheet for so long. It's so good to finally get it out there. And I really hope your favourite character did well in the poll. I really hope you are happy with how your character's placed. I'm pretty happy with how all 5 of mine did. Especially Askin. My boy Askin, he did really, really well getting 23rd. I'm really happy with that. But I'm very happy with how the whole thing turned out. And I just can't thank you guys enough once again. Not just for 100,000 subscribers, nearly now 120,000, but just for partaking in the poll and really getting involved. I really appreciate it. A couple of special thank yous. One, of course, goes to my good friend Eskurasa Online. I mentioned him before, but without him this would not have been possible, as he helped cut out and create all the renders of the characters to put on the cards that you see. And the second special thank you goes out to a Twitter user by the name of Hypno Darkrai, which is where Eskurasa got all of the images from that brand new black pamphlet that came out as part of the Bleach X exhibition. So thank you so much for uploading those images to Twitter, which is where Eskurasa got them from to use them in the first place. So really, really appreciate it. It helped add a little extra flourish to the video. But that's it for this video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. I really hope that your character did well and you're happy with the results. Let me know in the comments below how you got on in the video, how your characters did. I would love to hear. If you haven't done already, guys, make sure to hit subscribe, as you are in the best place for Bleach videos. Not quite like this, but like whatever else we've got on the channel. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, regardless of whether or not your character's placed where you wanted them to, give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, because it really does help get more exposure to the video and to the channel. And we do also have a Patreon as well, where you can get videos like this one early. You can support me there for as little as $1 a month. And like everyone else appearing on screen right now, you can get your name in the video as someone who helps support me over there. And as always, my gratitude to all my Patreon supporters is eternal. Thank you so very much. But that's it for this video, guys. I'm about to lose my voice. I really hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, I'll catch you later. I'll see you then.